Top 9 Suspenseful Shows on War and Politics on Netflix. As we have seen in the past, war and politics tend to go hand in hand, and different television networks have taken advantage for commercial gain, hence providing us with some exciting and entertaining content. And well, Netflix probably tops the OTT chart when it comes to binging shows. While not all shows talk about the dynamics of war and politics, they deal with harrowing topics that different nations have faced in the past and might do in the future, while some remain fictitious. In this video, we will explore the top 9 suspenseful shows on war and politics that you can binge this weekend on Netflix. We see an unplanned presidency, tourists being held hostage by terrorists, complicated relations between countries, and even a war between vampires and humans, etc. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to us. It may be a small click from you, but it goes a long way for us.
Prosperity and good education.
Number 1, Designated Survivor. Cabinet member Tom Kirkman's life changes when a devastating attack claims the lives of the president and practically all the cabinet members, putting Tom in charge and assuming the presidency of the country. Tom himself survived because he was the designated survivor, an elected representative whose purpose is to survive in the event that all other elected representatives die. Before this, Tom was always apprehensive about his low-level post at the cabinet, so when things turn around unexpectedly, he is taken aback, knowing that this won't be an easy job to do. Keeping in mind his family and personal life, neither of which was ready to be in the spotlight like this, Tom Kirkman overnight became America's citizen number 1. Tom has to do what's best for his family, while also keeping in mind the best interest of his country and countrymen. But Tom is unaware of the horrors and threats that await him and the country. This political thriller has something interesting going on in every episode from Season 1 to Season 3. While some may feel that the show's quality reduced after Netflix picked it up, that is far from the truth. Kiefer Sutherland's character Tom Kirkman faces a new challenge in every episode with plenty of action and drama, keeping the audience engaged from start to finish. This political thriller highlights the horrors faced by the country and its politicians, making it a must-watch for anyone interested in this genre and world politics.
I have a duty, sir, to you and the president.
And you've carried it out.
Number 2, The Girl from Oslo. A vacation in the Sinai Desert goes wrong when Pia, a Norwegian girl, and 2 of her Israeli friends are kidnapped by one of the biggest terrorist organizations in the world, ISIS. These terrorists have one demand, which is the release of their leader Abu Salim along with 12 other ISIS captives, and they make it very clear that if their demand isn't met, it will lead to the execution of Pia and her friends. Knowing the ruthless nature of ISIS, Pia's mother plunges into a downward spiral, but she will do anything and everything in her power to save the 3 innocent people, one of them being her daughter. Her mother is a Norwegian diplomat which works in her favor as she travels to the Middle East, gathering help and information from her old friends. However, things start to get worse for the hostages and the demands of the terrorists begin to increase, and so do the threats. Will Pia and her friends make it alive? Or will people fail to meet the demands, leading to a potentially brutal execution?
Please don't. You don't have to do this. No.
This Norwegian show received mixed reviews from its audience, and while it isn't everyone's cup of tea, some people believe this was a brave production, highlighting the horrors of terrorism and people being held hostage. Even though the showrunners have made it clear that the specific events of this show are purely fictional, the underlying theme of tourists being abducted by terrorist organizations in the Middle East is closer to reality than fiction, something which makes this show even more exciting and thrilling to watch. Number 3, Pine Gap.
Thanks, Deb. Sending location to DevSmack.
Pine Gap is set in Central Australia, which is a US and Australia joint defense facility. The show digs deeper into the relationship and alliance between these 2 countries. The show begins with the A-Crew intelligence team at the Pine Gap facility when they detect a missile launch in Myanmar on a small passenger plane. They also discover that they might have a double agent in their own ranks. The American mission director, Gus Thompson, and communications intelligence team leader, Jasmina Delic, begin an investigation, and as the show proceeds and events unfold, the relationship between Australia and the United States weakens because of the American president, and the secrets kept between the two countries. The US eventually prepares to launch an airstrike on China, as the tensions continue to increase. An Australian production that focuses on the relationship between Australia and the United States makes for an exciting political thriller and drama series. It has plenty of plot twists throughout the season to keep people hooked on it. Despite being a work of fiction, Pine Gap showcases the tensions between different countries and their political relations, which in turn affect the nation and its people. If you need one good reason to binge Pine Gap, do it for the almost accurate depiction of external affairs between the developed nations, and how potential allies may sometimes become enemies in the wake of internal security. Number 4, V-Wars. Two friends on a trip to the Polar Research Station accidentally change the course of mankind when they bring back a virus with them. Dr. Luther and his friend Michael are immediately quarantined upon their return, but it isn't enough because this virus leads to Michael turning into a blood-sucking vampire. Michael goes on a rampage, and the virus begins to spread, making it harder to contain it. This leads to Dr. Luther teaming up with national security to help stop the spread of this deadly virus and, more importantly, bring his best friend back to who he once was. As the story progresses and events begin to unfold, it becomes harder for them to contain this deadly virus, and the threat of society collapsing altogether looms over their heads. We are also introduced to vampire hunters and several other characters whose lives are affected by this virus. But will Dr. Luther be able to save his best friend and along with him, the society? Or will he end up losing both? Vampire vs. Humans is a plot that the audience has grown to love since the 1980s. V-Wars was a recipe for success, to begin with, because it had several elements from different genres all combined in one. There has been plenty of live-action content where vampires and humans have been pitted against one another, but only a few of them transform this fight into an all-out war, and V-Wars is one of those gems. In addition to this, Dr. Luther is played by the well-known actor Ian Somerhalder, who has his fair share of experience with vampires in television after playing one for 8 long years in the show The Vampire Diaries. Number 5, Mossad 101. Mossad 101, as the title suggests, revolves around a secret Mossad compound called Hamadrasha, which is incredibly advanced and equipped with everything to do with surveillance and technology. Hamadrasha has a training program with a total of 13 trainees within the compound. These 13 people are sent off for rather complicated missions. Their performance and ability to complete the task helps test their suitability for occupation and other abilities, including seduction and impersonation. As one can imagine, it isn't easy being a part of Mossad, and one must go through some rigorous and creative training to qualify. This is where Yana, the commander of the course, comes into the picture. He isn't fully satisfied with trainees or the Mossad agents and hence expects the new trainees to be pushed a little more with different tasks to prepare them for this job. In 2017, Mossad 101 was nominated for the Best Drama Series at the awards of the Israeli Television Academy, which is a huge accomplishment because Israeli television is known for producing some high-quality and very engaging shows every year. While some may argue that this show gets a little silly in the first season, the style completely changes in the second season, making it a lot more engaging for its audience. The acting, dialogues, action sequences, and plot twists make it an interesting watch for anyone who is like a spy thriller. Number 6, Bodyguard. David Budd is a former soldier, who had been through a lot of trauma and witnessed the horrors of war, firsthand. However, he has now secured a job as a specialist protection officer, Things, however, aren't as easy as they might seem, and Bud struggles with his job from the get-go, which is to serve the Royalty and Specialist Protection Branch of London's Metropolitan Police Service. He is assigned to protect the Home Secretary, Julia Montague. While it shouldn't be a difficult task protecting her, it turns into something a lot more complicated when he realizes that he despises everything that Julia and her politics stand for. On the other hand, Julia is a powerful, ambitious, and level-headed woman who doesn't budge from what she stands for. David Budd is conflicted. On one hand, he has to protect her because it is his job, but on the other hand, protecting her would mean going against her beliefs. But all hell breaks loose when an elaborate conspiracy to assassinate Julia comes to the surface. Bodyguard became a fan favorite along with critics' favorite with 28 nominations and 14 awards from Primetime Emmys to BAFTAs. This British TV series became a worldwide sensation with Richard Madden, former Game of Thrones actor, on the front and center, playing the role of David Budd. His acting, combined with that of Keeley Hawes, was the perfect combination for this TV series. Bodyguard has a little bit of everything, from crime and action sequences to politics, drama, and love, making it a suitable watch for anyone and everyone. Number 7, Messiah. This Netflix series is more than just about beliefs, religions, and politics. It follows the life of a CIA agent named Eva Geller. She is investigating a man who has garnered attention from all over the world, claiming to be a divine entity, someone who was sent from God to protect the people and perform miracles, and he goes by the name Al-Masi. Naturally, this was an investigation that's poles apart from what the CIA usually looks into. While his followers are hell-bent on believing that he truly is a man of God, other people are convinced he is a con artist, pretending to lure naive people into believing him.
That's all.
Will Eva Geller uncover the truth about this man? Or is he really what people believe him to be? Messiah has to be one of the most controversial shows on Netflix so far, sheerly because it deals with different religions, and mixes it with politics and the belief system of humans. However, being controversial might just have helped it gather more views because of how curious people were about it. While plenty watched it, there were plenty who boycotted it. Despite this, it was nominated for 2 awards, but the show was soon cancelled, unable to be renewed for another season. Number 8, Secret City. Press gallery journalist, Harriet Dunkley resides in Canberra, close to where the Australian government's seat of power resides. One day when she is out rowing, Harriet unintentionally finds herself in a crime scene when a body washes over to the shore of the lake. Her curiosity gets the best of her, and she decides to investigate and dig up a little further, trying to find any information about this case when she realizes that some of the most prominent and influential people are protecting the identity of this victim. Harriet refuses to let go, and not before long, does the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation and the Australian Signals Directorate get involved, escalating things, and not in a good way. Nevertheless, being the true journalist she is, she furthers her investigation, hoping to uncover the truth, and uncovers a secret city of interlocked conspiracies that will threaten her career and her life and endanger the freedom of every Australian.
I'll get fine. Where'd you get this?
The director came in from the federal police.
Secret City deals with journalistic curiosity and shows just how far someone committed to the truth can go, even if it means putting their own life at risk. This show is packed with action, and studded with conspiracies and politics mangled in it from start to finish. Along with this, the cast shows great promise, and brilliant locations are chosen throughout the show, making it aesthetically rich and pleasing. For anyone who likes shows like Bodyguard or Pine Gap, Secret City should be next on your list. This show was up for 13 award nominations, out of which it bagged 4 of them. Number 9, The Bletchley Circle. During World War II, the people who worked at Bletchley Park played a significant role. Men and women would come together to break the codes that were being used by the German military, in turn, helping the troops of their nation. It has been 9 years since, but one of the codebreakers' wives, Susan, continues to notice patterns around her every day, no matter where she is. She is a mother and wife, and when several women are brutally murdered around London, she decides something has to be done. The police in London aren't really on her side, and she soon realizes that this isn't something she can do by herself, and that's when she hires 3 other women who were her colleagues back in the day.
I'm glad she did. Come in.
Iris.
The 4 women are on a clock because the killer is still out there, but will they be able to catch him before he kills someone else? The Bletchley Circle is a woman-centric series where 4 women are codebreakers in London, a profession you wouldn't normally see women in, which makes it more empowering and interesting to watch, and naturally, the characters make this show worth watching. This is a great British crime series for anyone who enjoys a great backstory that leads into the near future. With a great plot, easy-to-follow storyline, brilliant lead, and supporting characters, this show makes for a great weekend watch when you're in the mood to watch something fresh and intriguing.
That we saw you here. Believe me, we're well versed in keeping secrets.
Oh, yeah.
That was all in this video. Do hang around for more interesting content on TV shows, movies, and everything else. Stay safe, and have a good one.